Welcome to ProfitGuru. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for being here with me. I'm Cassandra Barney, and I am an elementary teacher who has turned into a full-time Amazon seller. But on this channel, I'm able to combine my teaching passion with my selling passion and show you guys exactly how to sell on Amazon. So if you enjoy that content, please subscribe to my channel. Today's video is for all of you new sellers. I remember first learning about selling on Amazon and how confused I really was. I didn't know the different selling models, what I needed to get started, different research that needed to take place. So today I want to show you guys, if you are brand new thinking about selling on Amazon, exactly what you need to know. All right, let's go. How to sell on Amazon as a beginner. So thinking back to myself as a very new beginner to Amazon, these are all of the concepts that I really wish I would have been able to find somewhere that would have helped me to really fast track selling on Amazon. And I think the first big question that comes into everyone's mind is, can I afford this? How much money do I really need to have in hand to start selling? And the answer to that really depends on which model you choose. This is something that as a beginner, I didn't even realize existed. There are several different models to selling on Amazon. So the very first thing that you need to do that will determine how much money you need is to decide which of those models is best for you. Most people will tell you that there are three main selling models when it comes to selling on Amazon. The first one being arbitrage, then we have wholesale, private label, but a fourth one, which I think a lot of people overlook, but is a really successful selling model, is a hybrid model. So let's talk about these different models so that you can determine which one feels right for you and your business. Arbitrage is basically the fine art of reselling. What you're going to do is you are going to purchase a product on one marketplace and then simultaneously resell it on another. This model is definitely the most common for especially new sellers to do for a variety of reasons. Number one, it is super easy. All that you're doing is you're going into big stores like Target and Walmart, and you're finding things that you can buy right off of the shelf. So this is not something where you need a lot of business background knowledge to even get into. You really can just start today as a normal person with no experience at all. And there's not a high startup amount that you need here. If you only have $100 to start, that's fine, because the arbitrage model is super scalable. So what you would do, you would find products that sell for higher on Amazon than what you're purchasing them for off of the shelves, and you would flip them. Once you get your profits back, you keep reinvesting and growing and scaling higher and higher. So with this model, you can really start with whatever amount you have to start with. And that's one of the reasons why it is so appealing for new sellers, because it is a great way to just dip your toes in and get experienced with reselling. But this selling model does have some drawbacks. And one of the biggest drawbacks is there's going to be a lot of competition. You can get these products super easily, and so can't everybody else. So a lot of these listings are going to have a huge number of sellers on it, which will be a lot of competition for you, which might mean that you're not making a ton of sales. So it involves really getting good at finding those products where there is a difference in marketplaces, but there's not a huge amount of competition on the listing. And speaking of listings can change a lot. I found products that I think look great. There's not a lot of sellers on it. The price point looks fantastic. And then once I actually get those products and send them into the warehouse, the listing has completely changed. Now the price has dropped, the number of sellers rises up. So there is some risk involved with doing arbitrage, mainly with the competition. Next, we have wholesale. If you're doing a wholesale model, you are finding brands that sell really well on Amazon, and then you're going to go straight to the brand or the distributor and open up an account with them. This way, there's no middleman. They're not sending it to Walmart and then reselling it to you for a little bit of a higher price. You're going straight to them and getting it for the bottom dollar price, which is great because that's going to increase your profit margins. But it is really hard to open up these wholesale accounts, especially with brands that are really well known. There are a lot of Amazon sellers searching for wholesale distributors and emailing and calling them on a daily basis. So in order for you to open up the account, it gets a little tricky there because so many other people are also trying to open up these accounts. So it can be hard and frustrating. You could talk to 100 different brands about wholesale accounts with them, and you might hear 100 no's, which makes it a little frustrating with this model. Also, you're going to have a higher cost to start up because of what really makes these distributors want to open up accounts with you is by seeing the money. If you are enticing them with really large order quantities, that's a way to get them to say yes. So this is more to invest in to get started because you're going to have to order such high number volume of the items. Then we have private label, which I think is the most common one for sellers to think of when they think of selling on Amazon. They think of finding products, manufacturing them on their own, putting their own trademark on it, and reselling it, which would then mean you're the only seller on the listing. This product is yours. So there's not competition on that particular listing for the buy box. The problem is though, you need to really find a hole in the marketplace or in a niche somewhere. Because what you want to do is take a product that already exists, but that you know that there is some way that you can improve this, right? You don't want to just take something like a pen, manufacture your own pens, generic pens, and resell them. That's not going to go over well. So this strategy involves a ton of research. You're going to have to find the niche that has a good demand, but not a ton of competition. There's not already a brand dominating it, so there's room for you to tiptoe in and make sales. Then you're going to have to think of the specific product and how you can change it to improve it and make it better. Find a manufacturer and then order those. So you can see how this is really time consuming. There are a lot of small little steps to this process. And it's also a large investment. This is something where you're probably going to have to order quite a lot of it. You're going to have to create your own listing. You're going to want really good photographs. You're going to want keyword research. So there's a lot that goes into this type of model if you want to be successful with it. Also, if you don't have a lot to start up with, then this is really putting all of your eggs into one basket and really hoping that it goes over well. So I definitely would not recommend this model to new sellers. This is something for very experienced sellers who know how to find those demands and those gaps in different niches and have the money needed to take the risk. The hybrid model is personally my favorite. This includes implementing a mixture of all of these different selling models to create your own unique listings, and you're getting the buy box 100% of the time. Nobody else can come onto this listing. It is uniquely yours, kind of like private labeling. But what this involves is finding mixtures between all of them. So what I personally like to do is think of a brand that already exists that I know I can easily get my hands on. Then I'm going to take that product and think to myself, how can I make this one product more valuable to the customer? What products can go around this so that I can really create a nice bundle that people are going to want to just throw their money at and buy it? So by bundling products together, that is going to increase your profit margins. You're decreasing the competition because you're going to make these bundles unique to just you, where no one else can jump onto these listings, but it does involve time. You need to make sure that these products are actually products that go together, complement each other, and that are in demand. So it does take a lot of research, as well as creating a whole new listing. So there we have the keyword research, the description. We're going to have to get some really great photographs on there. Make sure we're SEO optimized. So there is an investment here, but it doesn't have to be a huge investment like private label is. So that's why I personally think that a hybrid model is the most appealing and the most effective. You don't have to put all your eggs into one basket, but you're going above and beyond, where you're not just jumping onto listings like a straight up arbitrage model and have 50 to 100 other sellers on that listing that you're competing the buy box against. Once you have an idea of the selling model, now it's time to open up your Amazon seller account. Signing up to become an Amazon seller is actually quite easy to do. For the URL, I came to sell.amazon.com, and right now we are on the pricing tab. Now there's two different types of plans. You can go with the individual plan or the professional plan. Now, the individual plan, they're not going to charge you a monthly fee, but what they're going to do is charge you 99 cents per unit sold. The professional plan, on the other hand, you don't pay per unit sold. Instead, you pay $39.99 a month, no matter how many units you sell. So if you're already planning to sell at least 40 units anyways a month, then it definitely makes a lot of sense to go with the professional plan. You'll also notice that there are a lot more features that you can do with the professional plan. So you can apply in additional categories, you can run advertisements and promotions, especially if you're interested in building your own brand on Amazon, you'll definitely need that professional plan. So I would definitely recommend to just get it right off the start. But if you decide to go with the individual plan, you're not locked into it. You can change your mind. There are also other fees that Amazon charges. For example, the referral fee. Amazon is a huge platform. You don't have to do any advertising to get people to come to your site because people are already coming to Amazon. So that's what you're paying for here. The referral fee does depend on the product category that you're in, but typically it is going to be between 8% and 15% of the selling point of the product. There are also fulfillment fees. So if you are taking advantage of the FBA model, where you're sending all of your products to the Amazon warehouse for them to store, then once a customer orders it, they're going to take it off the shelf and ship it to them, then you're going to have more fees. But if you decide to ship those items out yourself individually, then the fees are a little less. I do have a video on my channel walking you through exactly step by step how to fill out that application. So if you need help with that, I'm going to link it right above for you to check out. But once you get approved, then this is what your Seller Central dashboard will look like. The catalog here is where you can go to add products. The inventory is where you can go to see everything that you have listed. You'll be able to check on your orders. If you're running any PPCs or campaigns, this is where you'll go to manage that. I remember thinking that the dashboard was kind of intimidating as a new seller, but really everything is pretty friendly as long as you just start clicking around and playing with it. That's the best way to really learn. Next, let's talk about the supplies that you're going to need. And there really is not a lot that you need to get started. You'll definitely want to have a computer and a smartphone so that you can be listing your inventory as well as sourcing for products. A printer is definitely needed, as well as if you can get one, I would invest in a label printer. They have tons of them, ranging from $100 to several hundreds of dollars. So really to begin, you don't need anything too fancy, but you're going to need a printer so that once you package up your items, you'll need to print out that shipping label to put on the box. And the label printer you'll have to buy some labels with, because what happens is every item that you list into your inventory, you're then going to have to print out an FN SKU, which is a specific number that associates that product with your account. And you're going to have to put that little sticker on top of every product that you have. Otherwise, how does Amazon know that this product is associated with you? So you'll definitely need a printer and paper and labels. For packaging supplies, you really don't need a lot of fancy stuff here. Obviously, boxes to put your products into, as well as some of the air pillows would be super helpful to fill up any void spaces in the box so your products aren't moving around. And bubble wrap. I am a huge fan of bubble wrapping things just to make sure that they're going to be safe and get to the customer in the correct condition. You'll also need to input the dimensions for your box, and for that you'll need a digital scale and a tape measure. And finally, poly bags. Several of your items are going to go into poly bags. Things that are sets that you want to put together, they're going to have to stay together in a poly bag, as well as articles of clothing, anything that you could touch and get dirty, because these warehouses are pretty dirty. You're going to want to put that into a poly bag to keep it clean. And then to let the warehouse know not to take things out of a bag when it's a set, you're going to want to put a sticker on that bag that says, "This is a set." This is the first point where people selling on Amazon get really frustrated because they assume they're going to open up their account and be able to sell anything under the sun. And that is just not how Amazon operates. So the first question you're probably going to ask yourself is, what can I actually sell? Because everything I'm trying to sell is gated. Let me show you what I mean by this. If you come to your Seller Central account, go to catalog and then add products, you're going to be able to search here to see if you're able to sell that product. Let me search for Adidas sneakers. Let's say these are the shoes that I'm trying to sell. I'm going to come here, select the condition as new, and then apply to sell. Now we're going to hit request approval. One of two things is going to happen at this point. It's either going to pop up and say, "Congratulations, you've been approved to sell this brand," or it's going to pop up an application to sell. So if it would have just said, congratulations, you're approved, that's what we call auto ungating. You didn't have to do anything special and it auto ungated that brand or a category for you. But if this application pops up, that means that now you need to take some additional steps to go through the gate and open that gate up so that it's not restricted for you to sell. And in that case, it typically involves getting an invoice from an authorized distributor. So what I would do here, if I wanted to sell Adidas, I would have to find a distributor that Amazon accepts their invoices. Then I would have to purchase a quantity of at least 10 from them. Once I get the products, I would take a photograph of all 10 as well as the invoice and send that to Amazon for them to decide that, yes, I can now sell this brand. As you can probably imagine, this is really frustrating for a lot of new sellers. But a little tip over here, anything in life that is worth it typically does not come easily. And that is definitely how Amazon works. You're going to be very limited to what you can actually sell at first. Typical categories that you're able to sell in as a new seller are crafts and pet supplies, things like that. But to sell grocery, health and beauty, and toys, you're going to have that gate up and you will have to get ungated. So there's two ways that you can do that. You can go and provide the invoice for those brands that you want to start selling, or you can just start selling where you're able to sell. And then eventually over time, you'll start to see that you get approved more and more often. What you should do if you are a very new seller is just download the Seller Central app and start scanning products with that and requesting approval for as many categories and as many brands as you can so that you can see exactly what you're able to sell. Then start selling in those categories. Once you prove to Amazon that you are a serious seller and you are a good seller and you have good account health, then they're going to start allowing you to sell more and more. So that's personally what I did. I started where I could start, and then I also decided to go with some big categories and get invoices. For example, grocery. In order to start selling grocery and gourmet foods, I found a distributor that Amazon was accepting their invoices. I found a brand that was gated within the grocery category, and I purchased 10 of that brand and then submitted that application. That opened up the whole category of grocery and gourmet food for me, as well as that specific brand, which in my case, it was Goya, which is another good point to keep in mind. Just because you're approved to sell in the big category does not mean that you can sell every single brand in that category. So you might get approved to sell in the whole category of beauty, but Revlon brand might still be restricted for you. So it's a lot in the beginning figuring out what you can and can't sell, and then figuring out how to get through these gates. Now you also need to decide if you want to do FBA or FBM. FBA simply means fulfilled by Amazon. So these are all those fees we were talking about earlier. If you're fulfilling by Amazon, that means that once you have a shipment of items that you want to send to the warehouse, you'll package it up and send it to the fulfillment centers. Then as customers start ordering your products, you don't have to do anything. Amazon's going to take them off the shelf, ship them to the customers, and take care of any customer service that comes along with it. So it's a lot less work for you to have to keep up with, and that's why you're paying more fees for them to do it. But if you would rather be the warehouse and keep all of your products at your own house, then that would be fulfilled by merchant. Then once somebody places an order, you have to take that product, package it all up, and then ship it to the customer. Plus, if anything goes wrong and they need some customer service, they're going to go directly to you to handle that. So your fees are a little less with FBM, but it is more time consuming for you. Also, not all products are good products to be FBMing. Some products, Amazon does not give FBM sellers the buy box very often. Let me show you exactly what I mean by that. If I was just a customer right now and I wanted to purchase this Kiehl's facial fuel, I would come to Amazon, I would find it, and then I would click here, add to cart. Now, whichever seller currently has their product at this price point, and I click add to cart and purchase it, that specific seller is going to get the sale. They are holding the buy box. And as you can see here, there are a total of 72 offers. So that's 72 separate sellers who are trying to sell this one product. So whoever is holding the buy box is the one that in the end gets the sale. So who's holding the buy box does rotate, but it does not rotate very evenly, especially on specific listings. For example, if Amazon themselves was selling this product and they were on this listing, they are going to hold most of the buy box. You don't necessarily have to be the lowest price to get the buy box, but it does factor into play to have one of the lowest prices. So just because these guys are at $38.50, that doesn't mean that they're not getting the buy box. I can see that these first 3 sellers are using the FBA model, and then this 4th seller right here, Maggie Ruco, they are using FBM. So anytime an order comes through, they themselves are taking it off their shelf and shipping it to the customer. That blends really nicely into what we need to talk about next, and that is sourcing products. So finding which products you want to sell and then finding where you can get them from and doing product research on them. Because good sellers, they don't buy things with their hearts. They buy with their heads. They look at the data first. Just because you have a shade of lipstick that you really love doesn't mean that you want to order 20 of those units and start selling it. Just because you love it doesn't mean that everyone else does. So let me show you how to do some research with your products to make sure they're going to sell. The first thing you're going to want to get is Keepa. Now, I'm not going to talk about it in great detail because I do have several videos here on the channel, but let me just say that Keepa is going to tell you really everything that you need to know that's initially important. It's going to show you the rank, which is here at the bottom in green. The rank determines how fast an item is selling. And you'll also see in the pink what the buy box is going for. So again, when somebody pushes add to cart, that's the price that they're paying. So your research should be seeing that this buy box doesn't change too much so that you can count on the price selling at what you're counting on selling it for. You're also going to want to check the rank to make sure that it has a strong rank and is a product that is selling fast. Here's how I determine if I want to FBA my product or FBM it. I'm still on the same listing with the Kiehl's facial wash, and I came to data and buy box statistics. This is going to tell me who is getting the sales when it says add to cart and somebody makes the purchase. The last sale right here says just now, and that went to the Glacier Wellness. We already knew that they were holding the buy box. But previous to that seller, the buy box rotated to this seller 5 hours ago, and then 22 hours ago, this one got a sale. So you can see how it is rotating between sellers. But 58% of the time, the sales are going to this specific seller. Now, right here, this is telling me if they are FBA or FBM. I can see that all of the sales that have been coming in are going to FBA sellers. If I put my view to 365 and look at all of the sales that have been happening in the past year for this listing, I can see that they're going to FBA sellers. These check marks tell me that all of these sellers sent their products to Amazon and had it fulfilled by Amazon. So this is not a product that I would want to fulfill by merchant because I can see the FBM sellers are not winning the buy box here. Here are some sourcing methods that I personally use to find my products. The first one is doing RA and OA. RA is retail arbitrage and OA is online arbitrage. So RA is going into the stores, scanning things with my seller app and seeing that they sell for higher on Amazon. OA, online arbitrage, it's the same thing, but you're staying home and doing it on your computer. So I go to sites like Walgreens, I look at what's on sale there, and then see what it's selling for on Amazon. If the price point has a big difference and I know I can buy it for 10 and sell it for 30 on Amazon, then there's going to be room there after Amazon fees for me to still make a profit. I also like to do my research on Amazon. So I'll go to Amazon and look at the top sellers, the best sellers in each category, and then see if I can find those products myself, get my hands on them, and start selling them. We can also do reverse sourcing, storefront stocking, looking up specific brands, and then seeing which items that they have that are selling really high on Amazon. All of these different sourcing methods, I definitely have a ton of videos on my channel if you want to get more in depth with them. But those are the ways that I'm able to find my products. Then, if you're looking for a manufacturer that is overseas, you're going to probably want to consider looking into Alibaba and AliExpress. Alibaba is mainly for business to business. So if you have an LLC and a business established, that would be the place to go. But if you don't have those things, you can still manufacture your own products, but you'll probably want to go to AliExpress instead because their minimum order quantities are going to be a lot lower. Let me quickly cover some of the important data that I look at when I'm determining if a product should be purchased or not. You're going to want to first put that into a sales estimator to see how many estimated sales it gets per month. And that's going to be based on its bestseller rank. So the lower the rank, the closer to 1, the better and the faster that it's selling. You'll also want to use an FBA profit calculator so that you can make sure after your fees and the cost of purchasing the product, there's still going to be a profit left in the end. And you'll want to look at historical data on the product to make sure that things aren't changing. For example, if the buy box for a coffee mug is right now at $40, don't just assume that it always sells for $40. That price might just be skyrocketed right now by a seller, and it might typically only sell for typically $15. So you always want to check the historical data to make sure that across time, things are steady. The softwares that I really use to perform my research is ProfitGuru because it has the sales estimator, the profit calculators, the historical data. I also use Tactical Arbitrage to input some CSV files into and do reverse sourcing to try and find products for the cheapest price at different stores. And then SAS is Seller Amp, and then Keepa, which are the first two things that you saw me using when I was talking about looking at all of the different sellers and then analyzing that buy box and the graph with the green and the pink lines. Again, these are different softwares that I could talk to for hours on, and I do have a ton of detailed videos on all of them. So definitely check through my videos if you're interested in learning more about any of them. But those are really the basics of softwares that you should get familiar with if you want to be a really good Amazon seller. Once you have your products and you are ready to list them into your inventory, the very best place to go is going to be Inventory Lab, which I've created a couple videos on to show you just how easy it is. Yes, you can go to your Seller Central account and list products in that way, but let me tell you, it is very confusing. If you instead go to Inventory Lab and just create a batch, you'll be able to add each product in at a time and then create your shipment plan, and it's going to save you so much time in your life. Then again, you're going to have to weigh and measure and print your shipping label to put onto your box. That's why you needed those supplies that I mentioned in the beginning. And all that you do to FBA it is then drop it off to a UPS drop-off station. Unless, of course, you decide to merchant fulfill it, then you would not do that. You would just list those products into your inventory and keep them at your house. Once you get a sale, that is when you're going to have to weigh it and print your shipping label and drop it off to go to your customer. I would definitely highly recommend you invest the money into getting Inventory Lab because it's going to make your life so much easier when it comes to listing, prepping, and packing your products to send to Amazon. And finally, the last thing you need to know as a beginner selling on Amazon is that you need to network. Something that I didn't really think about doing in the beginning, but something that has really increased my sales and my knowledge. Selling on Amazon is a very intricate process and it is always changing and developing. So you should always be in this mind frame that there's more for you to learn each and every single day. And it really helps if you can find some networks of people who are like you, where you can mingle and talk about this. Because let's face it, the average people in your life, maybe your spouse, your kids, your mom, your dad, they're not going to be interested in this. And if you're serious about selling on Amazon, this is going to be something that's on your mind a lot. And to not have anybody of common interest to talk to about it sometimes can feel defeating. So I encourage you to go on Facebook, go on Instagram, find as many people and as many groups that you can that pertain to selling on Amazon and make friends. Use it as a space to help to teach other people and to take learning for yourself as well. I really hope that this video was super helpful for all of you new people considering coming to sell on Amazon, and I would definitely encourage you to do it, to start. It is going to be overwhelming. It is not going to be easy. This is something that takes a lot of grit and passion and determination, but it is something that is super fun and it can be very profitable. So if you're considering at all selling, take the advice from this presentation and run with it. You're never going to actually feel ready, and nobody ever does. But by doing it and practicing it and getting the hands-on experience, that's how you become a better seller day after day after day. And if you fail, so what? Everybody fails now and again. But the thing with this is you can keep getting back up and finding new products to sell and new strategies and new methods and improving. And then what if you don't fail? What if this is something that you get really good at and you're able to maybe turn this into a side hustle that pays a lot or even your mainstream gig? A lot of people have done it and a lot of people are still doing it. So don't be afraid. Take the pointers here and run with them. Also, check out my list of videos because I have tons of them showing you step by step how to do these different sourcing methods or work with different software so that you can become comfortable and fluent with using them. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.